This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast, the Becker Business Minute Podcast. These are 13 stories that we're following today. First, Kohl's department store is down about 10% today, and they're basically saying that the consumer is spending less, softening their spending, and it's having a macroeconomic impact on Kohl's department stores. That's a sign for the entire economy. Second, the markets are relatively flat today. The Nasdaq and S&P were down a little bit this morning. The Dow up a little bit. Earlier on, futures had pointed up, but that's not holding. We'll see how that goes. Third, the Wall Street Journal reported that the labor market is starting to cool. This is very important. It's not yet where the federal data is at, but the Wall Street Journal reports that the labor market may be cooling. This is very important because if the labor market cools, this will soften the Fed's stance in raising rates. Right now, the Fed is still very intent on raising rates. We expect rate raises at the March 21st, 22nd meeting. Fourth, the markets fell yesterday. The Dow down 0.70%, the Nasdaq barely down 0.10%, and the S&P 500 down at 0.30%. At the end of the day, down some. That's a fourth story so far today. The fifth story, the 10-year Treasury yield right about 3.9%. The one-year Treasury yield right around 5.03%. This, in terms of the Treasury yields, we expect those to go up after the next Fed meeting, March 21st, 22nd, where the Fed will raise rates 25 to 50 basis points. Sixth, General Motors announced it's cutting jobs to try and become more profitable. We'll see how many people that affects. Seventh, Rivian, the automaker, reported a $4.3 billion loss last year. Its stock is nearly down 10% in pre-market trading, probably this morning. Eighth, President Biden says he intends to raise taxes as his next budget proposal. We'll see how that goes. Ninth, Biden's student relief plan is in front of the Supreme Court. And this is not a comment on the positives or negatives of that student loan plan, but it's almost certain that the Supreme Court is going to overturn that and say that the president doesn't have unilateral authority to do this. So that's what we expect there. We'll see. 10th, Goldman was down nearly 4% yesterday. Goldman had negative comments from CEO David Solomon on some of their efforts that are a bit more populist efforts. They're Marcus Bank for everybody. They're kind of bank for everybody. The reality is Goldman should stick to probably what it does well: investment banking, trading, working for the highest net worth individuals, working for the biggest companies, and not pretend to be a populist company, even though that's maybe has become popular today. It's just not what they're good at, what they're great at, and where the money's at for them. 11th, Hewlett Packard saw a debacle in earnings. They saw sales drop nearly 20% in the last quarter. PC sales dropped off the cliff. Personal computer sales dropped off the cliff, both commercial and personal computers. And then printer sales were down 5%. So that's where you're at with Hewlett Packard. Next, McGuire Woods starts its annual healthcare private equity conference today, March 1st and 2nd. Thrilled to have Devin Carty of Martin Ventures, the CEO there. Venkat Mokurla, the partner in Andreessen Horowitz, speaking at this event. Finally, Bitcoin holding its own at almost 24,000 or so, 23,700 this morning, and oil right around $76 a barrel. So oil prices far better than they were a few months ago. Thank you for listening to the Becker Business Minute Podcast, the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us.